A very happy morning to everyone. Today we are going to discuss about structure of pollen grain. We all know that the pollen grain is the male gamete and this pollen grains will be produced in the male gametophyte of a flower which is considered as anther. So, in today's class, we'll discuss how the structure of pollen grain will be. Usually, the pollen grains are generally spherical, measuring about 25 to 50 micrometers in diameter. The pollen grain is surrounded by two distinct wall layers, that is, exine and intine. The exine, it's an outer wall layer which is thick, rigid and ornamented. This layer is formed mainly by sporopollenin. The sporopollenin is highly resistant organic material. It is non-biodegradable. Due to the presence of sporopollenin, fossils of pollen grains are always found in good condition. The presence of fossils of pollen grains can forecast the presence of natural resources like petroleum, coals, etc. in the earth. The second layer is intine. It is the inner wall of the pollen grain. It is thin, soft and elastic in nature. It is called intine. It is made up of pectin and cellulose. At few places, the exine, which is outer layer, is usually absent. These places are called as germ pores. The intine comes out though any one of germ pore during the germination of pollen grain in the form of pollen tube. The number of germ pores, structure and ornamentation of exine is a significant feature of taxonomy. A detailed study of pollen grains is called palynology. 3 germ pores are present in the pollen grain of most of the dicots. And this type of pollen grains, where it consists of 3 germ pores, can be called as tricolpate. Only one germ pore can be seen in monocots and this condition is called as monocolpate. The plants in which pollination takes place by insects, their pollen grains have oily layer around the pollen grain which is called pollen kit. It is composed of lipids, carotenoids, etc. The best example for pollen kit is capsella. The functions of pollen kit is the oily layer protects the pollen grains from the harmful ultraviolet rays. Its sticky surface helps to attach with the insects. Its yellow color attracts the insects for pollination. The pollen grains can be considered as aeroallergens. Pollen grains of some plants which are present in the air cause allergy and that's why these are called as aeroallergens. The example for aeroallergens are Chenopodium, Parthenium which is considered as carrot grass, etc. So, the pollen grains are also available in the form of tablets and syrup. The pollen grains of many plants are rich in nutrients. It has become a pollen products in the form of tablets and syrups are available in the market. Pollen consumption has been claimed to increase the performance of athletes and race horses. The pollen grains have the viability. In some cereals such as rice and wheat, pollen grain lose viability within 30 minutes of the release. And in some members of Rosaceae, Leguminosae and Solanaceae, the maintenance of viability will be there for many months. And also it is possible to store pollen grain of a large number of species for years in the liquid nitrogen. Such stored pollen grains can be used as pollen banks, similar to seed banks used in crop breeding programs. So this is the structure of pollen grain and significance of pollen grains. Thank you.